One of the biggest storylines for Nebraska football this year has been, can Dylan Raiola finally take that big jump forward to be the top 5 elite quarterback that we know he can be? That all starts this offseason. So in today's video, I'm going to go over this exclusive Dylan Raiola offseason update, what he's been up to ever since spring practice ended, what he's been working on behind the scenes. He has a huge event coming up next week. I'll tell you what that is and everything else you need to know. And then I'm going to go over my honest expectations for him next year, the pros, the cons, what he absolutely needs to work on, and so much more. So really quick, this is a loaded exclusive Raiola update. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And really quick, it would make my day. If you're a diehard Nebraska fan, you're unsubscribed, and you enjoy daily Husker football content, it's a no-brainer. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, let's get into it, talking about Dylan Raiola, what he's been up to ever since spring practice ended, because it's a big year for Nebraska starting quarterback. Obviously, former 5-star coming out of high school, all the expectations in the world, and he had a very average true freshman year, to say the least. 13 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, really struggled as the year progressed, really struggled with his rhythm, accuracy, and so much more. We'll talk about that as the video progresses. For that reason, it's a big summer for him. Now, he has a huge event coming up next week. He will be flying down to Texas with Nebraska's top 5 wide receivers to personally train with them and his personal trainer, Jeff Christensen, who's also the trainer of Patrick Mahomes and a bunch of other high-quality NFL quarterbacks. Now, the 5 receivers that he's going to Texas with are as follows: Jacory Barney, Dane, Nyziah Hunter, Janiran, who everybody always forgets about. And then the last one is interesting. It's Mr. Heinrich Haarberg. So he will be going down to Texas with those 5 receivers. They'll be working out together, obviously running routes, doing drills. But I think one of the most important things with that event is that he's going to be building a lot of relationships with those players. Like, I'm really looking for him to become best friends with Dane, because it's important that a quarterback and a wide receiver, that they're best friends on and off the field, because that builds their relationship, that builds that trust. And when you have a third down, you must get the first down. You can trust your wide receiver a little bit more because of the fact that you've been hanging out with them. You know their tendencies, right? Yeah, it sounds stupid, but it's true. That's really how it works. And let's just think about last year. Who was the guy that Dylan Raiola hanged out with the most with as a true freshman? Jacory Barney. And coincidentally, Jacory Barney probably had the best connection with him on the field than any other player. So it's important that Dylan becomes really good friends with Dane. It's important that he builds our relationship with Nyziah Hunter. Again, continues to build a relationship with Janiran. So that's going to be very important next week when he goes down to Texas. But it also kind of tells you what's going on with the depth chart for the Huskers, right? Obviously, those are your top 4 receivers for next year. It's going to be Jacory, it's going to be Dane, it's going to be Nyziah, and it's going to be Janiran. Obviously, Demitrius is in the mix there. I think part of the reason why he's not going to Texas is because, again, Demitrius is still coming back from injury. They don't want to risk things before fall camp. And then, obviously, Heinrich Haarberg going down is very interesting. I will say this. Heinrich Haarberg, I don't think this is starting tight end. I don't even think he's the second string tight end. The reason why he's going down to Texas is because him and Dylan are like literally best friends. Those guys are inseparable. So that's the reason why Heinrich's going. I wouldn't really buy too much stock into that. But that tells you a little bit of a sneak peek what's going on with the wide receiver position. So again, that's going to be a very important vet for Dylan to obviously build a connection, but obviously get to work, right? You're going to have to work hard over that day, again, to be in connection with those wide receivers, continue to develop your accuracy, work with one of the best trainers in the industry in Jeff Christensen. And let's get to that. Let's get into what Jeff Christensen brings to the table, why that's so important that he continues to work out with him. So obviously, Jeff Christensen is one of the better-known quarterback trainers in all of America, worked with Mahomes, worked with a bunch of high-quality NFL quarterbacks throughout his time. And one thing that Jeff Christensen really preaches is going back to the fundamentals, working on your form, working on your progressions, going back to the basics. And honestly, I think that's what Dylan really needs to work on. Like, obviously, the arm strength is great. Obviously, I think his progressions are pretty good. His pocket presence is good. Like, I think his film, he watches a lot of film. He obviously can read defenses pretty well. The problem with Dylan is just the basics. I think it's his form. I think it's his accuracy. Obviously, his deep ball, middle, over the field accuracy, bullet accuracy. That's what's really going to benefit with him working with Jeff Christensen is, yeah, they got to work on that bullet accuracy, right? When you have a guy going on a slant right down the middle, 15 yards out, how can you throw him in between the numbers very quickly? You don't want to lock that football in like you did last year. How can you work on that bullet accuracy? How can you work on that deep ball accuracy where Jalen Lloyd, Iowa game from last year, 35 yards down the field in a post route, wide open, nobody within 10 yards of him, Dylan Raiola overthrows it. How can that not happen this year? So by him working out with Jeff Christensen, they're going to go back to the basics. They're going to work on his form, and they're going to focus on, hey, how can we get this accuracy up to make you a better quarterback? That's going to be very important next week when he goes back to work with Christensen, because Christensen, that's how he developed Mahomes. Mahomes had all the traits in the world with Texas Tech, but his accuracy was terrible. That's how he became the quarterback that he did with Chiefs, because he worked with Jeff Christensen. Jeff Christensen completely changed up his accuracy, and that was the thing that took him to the next level. That's what I can expect here with Raiola, is that he's going to take his accuracy to the next level with Christensen. Now, let's talk about Raiola's mindset, because this is why I still to this day am very confident that Dylan Raiola is going to succeed in Nebraska. It's because, while he has a little bit of an ego, and that's expected, right? He's a 5-star quarterback. Like, every quarterback who's worth something has an ego. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. He has an ego, but he's also very confident in himself in a good way. He knows that he needs to improve. He understands that, yeah, I have all the talent in the world, but doing nothing about it's not going to make me a good player. Okay. He understands that he wasn't good enough last year. Okay. And while he did get better throughout spring ball, I think his deep ball actually was improved when I saw him play. His processing was improved. There are things that still need to work on, like that bullet actually over the cross middle of the field. The comeback routes he was really struggling with. The touch on the football he was really struggling with. So I think the thing that I'm really impressed with about Dylan, though, is it has been his constant mindset, his work ethic. And that's something that you hear from the entire coaching staff, is that this guy's literally showing up at 6 a.m. every morning. That didn't happen with Jeff Sims. That didn't happen with Casey Thompson. That didn't happen even with Adrian Martinez, who was a great leader, who's a great guy off the field. So I think that Dylan's really putting in the work. That's why I do expect him to take that big jump forward. It's because he's not cool with being, just an average quarterback. He knows that in order to get to the place he wants to be, which is potentially as a Heisman quarterback, he needs to work effortlessly. So I feel really, really good about his work ethic, what he's been doing this summer. He's not sitting around eating potato chips on the couch. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. By him going down to Texas, working with Jeff Christensen, he's working back down in Georgia, obviously, with some of the people he worked with back at Buford. He'll be fine. He'll be ready to go. And then he'll be here in the summer, obviously, around campus back in June, getting ready for fall camp. So feel good about the mindset. You feel good about him working with Christensen. Let's talk about our expectations for him next year. I can say pretty solidly, I believe Dylan's going to take a step forward to be a top 20 quarterback in America. I feel very confident saying he's going to be top 20. The big question for me is whether or not he's going to be top 10. And I think there's two things that I'm really looking out for. Okay. First things first, pressure. When there's pressure on him, can he make a play? Because last year, that's when Dylan was at his worst. Okay. When the play broke down, and there's players in the backfield, and he had to step in the pocket and make a play, he was just not great. He was not great under pressure, and he also wasn't great on late downs, right? On third down conversions, fourth down, he was one of the worst quarterbacks in the Big Ten. How can he step those 2 percentage points up? And it just goes back to the basics, like the accuracy over the middle, obviously reading defenses that continue to do that at a high level, not throwing stupid interceptions like he did versus UCLA. The deep ball accuracy, like when you have a wide open guy 30 yards down the field, you just can't miss that opportunity, because that doesn't happen every game. Okay, it's a once every 3 game opportunity. When there's a guy wide open, you got to hit him. Stuff like that. So while I can confidently tell you right now, I believe Dylan's going to be a top 20 quarterback, I don't know if he's going to be a top 10. It's really hinges on those 3 things. Obviously, third and fourth down conversions. Under pressure, how can you make plays under pressure? Continue to maybe get outside the pocket, make plays. And then just your basic accuracy. If he can do all that, I think he's going to be top 10 quarterback with his work ethic and everything else he's been doing. So, all right, guys, I want to hear your thoughts. Takes 2 seconds. Take as long as you want them. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, what you're thinking about Dylan next year. I want to hear your thoughts, absolutely. Hey, if you made this far on the video, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go McGrath, go my roll, and I'll see you in the next one.